Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Northport, A View from Here. My name is Gene Matthews and I'll be your host today. Today I'm pleased to say we have the Coast Guard flotilla here today. Not the whole flotilla, but the three kingpins that make it run and make Northport a safer place to live in. So first we're going to start off with Marty Kapp. Marty, thank you very much for coming. He is the flotilla commander, right?
That's correct, yes.
And then we have Charlie Mitchell.
Yes, sir.
He's the Division 9 commander. And George Mullen, who former city commissioner and also the vice commander of the Flotilla 92. So welcome to all of you gentlemen, and we're going to start off with you, Marty. What is your job as the commander of the flotilla?
Oh, thank you, Jim. First, I want to thank you very much for inviting us to be here today. We really appreciate it. A flotilla commander really provides the leadership for the auxiliary group that we have in Northport. Tries to help the auxiliary fulfill its missions, fulfill the four cornerstones of what we're there for, and generally takes the weight for the things that go wrong. Keeps in connection with the division and with the district, and manages, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah. How many members are in the flotilla currently?
We have 27 right now. We'd like it to be more. We're interested in having people who are interested in serving the community and being on the water and having good fellowship to join with us and come down and be a part of Flotilla 92.
You know, in our life, the uniformed services always protect us, the police, fire, ambulance, the flotilla, the Army, the Air Force, all of us. And probably in Northport, you're the unsung heroes. You're out there on the water and doing a good job. So I want to thank you personally. Charlie, you're a Division 9 commander. That's
Vice Captain.
Vice
yes, sir.
Captain.
Yes, sir.
Sounds impressive. Tell us about it.
It's really not. From our flotilla level, we go to division level. And within our division, which is Division 9, we cover 8 flotillas that run from Northport south to Marco Island. And really the division is just a stepping stone down from national, where information is passed down, and then we distribute it to the various flotillas and the flotilla commanders. So that's basically what the division does.
Do you have contact with the Coast Guard itself? Through the division? Or?
We do with division and the flotillas both. More so the flotillas have contact, as you'll see later on with operations when we get into that. We work under Fort Myers Beach. That's our controlling Coast Guard unit. And on the water, SARS, that type of thing, we take our orders from the Coast Guard at Fort Myers Beach. We're under their command.
And they have a boat there, rescue boat? Large,
they have, I believe right now they have 5 boats there, rescue boats.
Wasn't there one in Sarasota up in Nokomis?
Well, there used to be one at Nokomis, and they closed that base down, and that particular vessel was distributed out to another country.
I see.
But there is none there now.
And the closest one is the Fort Myers?
Closest one is Fort Myers, and then you go on further north. They have them up at up in that area
Cortez.
there.
What is it? Cortez Beach.
Yeah, Cortez has
Beach.
one,
Okay.
and then from Cortez you go further north into St. Petersburg and Clearwater.
But basically, you fellas work on the inland waterways, and they're basically out in the Gulf?
Yes, yes. We work mostly on the Myakka River. There's very little patrolling done by the Coast Guard up there due to the fact it's so far away. And we're there for, really our people is local, has local knowledge of that area, and which makes it so much better for the Coast Guard.
Sure. George, you're the vice flotilla commander?
Yes.
And so what has Marty got you doing?
Well,
Since he's your boss,
yeah,
right?
we have now I think it's 17 staff officers. We have member training, operations, public education, and the vice flotilla commander really kind of coordinates with his staff and make sure that they have their reports in on time, or and stand in when he's not available. And I also act as one of the staff officers, which most of us do. We do double duty, wear more than one hat. And I'm the operations officer. And under operations, we have the responsibility from Snook Haven down the Myakka River to Hog Island, which is the end of the Myakka River that flows into Charlotte Harbor. And that is our area of operations and what we're responsible for. And we try to put, weather permitting, water permitting, a safe patrol out every Saturday and every Sunday. And we have no law enforcement capabilities. We're there to see that the boaters out on the water boat safely, advise them about, like as you well know, the river has a slow speed minimum wake, and if someone is doing a little bit more than that, we just advise them of it, and if they want to continue on, then it's up to the Marine Patrol to handle that. But we're out there for education and safety, and that's our primary responsibility out there. And as Charlie mentioned before, we also get called out from periodically from the Fort Myers Beach for search and rescue. And that's when someone's in trouble. It's an overdue vessel, a possible flare sighting at night. So we are dispatched out under orders from Fort Myers Beach, and we investigate it and then come back in and make the reports back to Fort Myers Beach what we have found. And one of the things that a lot of people think that about the Coast Guard, you just join up and you go out and do these things. And we don't. Our people are highly trained. All our crew members go through about 60 tasks under a qualified examiners. I counted up the day before I came to become a coxswain, which is the vessel operator himself. You not only go through the crew.
Is he the one that steers the boat?
Yes, coxswain's the skipper. Yeah, they call him the coxswain. Yeah, he's the one that steers the boat. It's supposed to know where he's going.
All right.
But when you take in what you do, the 60 there for the crew, and you have to be a crew qualified before you can even try to become a coxswain. And then you do about another 120 tasks. And these are land tasks where you do piloting, navigation rules, you have to know those and pass tests on those. And then you have this qualifying examiner go out on the water with you, and you actually do stern towing, side-by-side towing, man overboard. In the man overboard, you have 3 minutes to pick the person up. And sometimes you're in the side-by-side tow, and it isn't quite that easy. So our people are trained before they ever go on the water.
And active too. It's not just, you just don't join the club, so to speak,
No,
and fraternize and socialize. You have work
we
to
do that, but that comes under our
Well,
fellowship.
but there's
Our
work to do.
people are trained and qualified before they're ever allowed to go on the water, except as a new person coming in, they can go on the vessel as a trainee. And they're out there for the purpose of learning their task before they go before the qualifying examiner.
Right. During the month of May, of course, we have Safe Boating Week from the 19th to the 25th. Someone want to explain Safe Boating Week and what you hope to achieve with it?
Well, I think it's a national focus on safe boating, trying to get, as part of the public education program of the auxiliary, we make a big push to get all vessels safety checked, have open house and have demonstrations so people will know what we do and also become interested in learning some of those skills themselves. This year we hope to put a couple boats in the water down there in the Myakka River and demonstrate some towing and maybe some anchoring and some other things that we normally do, some of the skills that George was talking about. We have an awful lot of information that we have available to pass out to people, and all kinds of brochures and
Great.
that kind of thing.
We'll be back in a moment. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and discuss more about Coast Guard safety and the Myakka River. Thank you, gentlemen.
Have you seen Northport lately? Take a minute and take a look.
We really do enjoy nature, and we found it all here, right in our own backyard. Love fishing and boating on the Myakka. You never know what you might see out there. We toured the whole state of Florida and found that Northport had everything that we wanted.
There's a lot of natural beauty, and there's a lot of wildlife here. And I love the open spaces, and I love the quiet.
If you're intrigued by what you just saw, pay us a visit and you'll see a lot more.
Welcome back to our second segment of Northport, a view from here. We had just heard about Safe Boating Week coming up, and now we're going to hear about the four cornerstones of the Coast Guard flotilla, and we're going to ask Marty to start off with the public education portion of your role within the community.
Sure, Gene, thank you. First of all, you might be interested to know that only about 2% of boaters in the United States have ever had any formal education or training about the boats that
That's
they're...
a scary number,
It
isn't it?
really is. It really is when you stop to think about it. And there have been a number of rather serious accidents and tragedies in our area. And some of those have happened because people have not been educated, and some have happened because people have forgotten their training and education. But we run at least one boating safety and seamanship class at our flotilla every year. We'd like to run more, but we'd need some of those other 98% of the people to volunteer to come down and join us. And we cover things like trailering and elementary piloting and navigation, a lot about safety equipment, a lot about handling your boat, the kind of basic things that you need to know to be safe out there in the water. This is the primary thing that comes under public education. We do other, as I mentioned before, handing out information and having a safe boating week where we call people's attention to it. But that's the main thrust of the public safety education part.
And this is mostly done at the flotilla, which
Yes,
is...
it is.
Why don't you tell the folks where it's at, where the flotilla is at? Many
Okay.
of them, I'm sure, especially the newer residents, we have so many new residents coming in all the time, don't know where it is.
Well, it's kind of a secret because it's in the corner of the town. It's where Kenwood and Chancellor come together. It's a place called Marina Park. It's across the boat ramp from the Northport Yacht Club. And you have to kind of get down in that corner of town off Biscayne to find us.
It's almost Charlotte County,
It is, yes, right on the, right on the,
Almost
right on the
Charlotte
line.
County.
Right.
so right on the edge. Okay. And operations, we're going to have George tell us about that. George, what are the elements of the
Well,
operations department?
As we said before, that, you know, the biggest element probably is our river patrols. But also, under operations, we classify part of that as being communications, too. And when I'm talking about communications, is communications that you have available on your vessel when you're out there, because, you know, it's always nice, you got a new boat, or you've got a boat you've had for years and it's running fine, but, you know, as Murphy's Law says, if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. And it always happens when you're out there. And we look at certain pieces of equipment that ought to be considered on your boat that you should have. And one of the big things that we find out, the number of people that go out, and they say, well, I'm only going to go out, I'm only going to be a short while out there. I'm just going down to the Charlotte Harbor, or I'm going over to Fisherman's Village at Punta Gorda, and something happens. Well, how do they get a hold of someone to come to their aid? And there are some rather economical radios that you can purchase for your boat, and one of them, you know, is a handheld radio. This one we use, and we've tested it down at, as far as Charlotte Harbor, 9 miles away from our station, has good communications, and 9 to 12 miles is about what you can expect out of these. Then you can get the one that you can put in your boat, and this has basically a longer antenna on it. Probably will get you up to 20 miles. They're relatively inexpensive. Both of these run about $169.
And you know, that runs off your batteries?
That
so
runs
when
off the
your
batteries.
engine runs-
This has its own rechargeable NiCad batteries in it. This one runs off your 12-volt system of your boat. One of the other things that, as you well know, the way the weather changes down here, you can be out there and the storm comes up. You know, you can have the weather tracker, which carries the Ruskin station on it, or take a AM, FM radio with you. Put it on AM. Storm comes up, you'll hear that static on there long before you'll ever see the storm. Another good piece of equipment to have is your GPSs. Now getting these GPSs down, you can carry them in your pocket now. And GPSs will run
What is
Global Positioning System.
system? Okay.
And it goes up to a satellite and comes back down and gives you latitude and longitude. And from your chart, you'll be able to tell exactly where you are. So if someone has to come get you, you can just about tell them where you're located. There is what is called an EPIRB.
Say that again?
EPIRB,
EPIRB.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Must stand for something.
well, it does. And It's the emergency positioning. I can't read it.
It's right on the front. It's
Yeah.
emergency position indicating radio beacon.
Ray beacon. And what it does, it pops it up to a satellite, and it comes back down. And again, it's another way that the Coast Guard or we can find you, because it will come back with a.
Is that when you're in the water and it's too late to call on the phone?
That's when your
That's right,
boat's
yeah.
gone down. Yeah, usually that's what that's for.
What about cell phones?
Cell phones are fine for communications if you're going to stay out. The fishing's good. You want to call your wife, tell her you're going to stay. You're not going to be coming back. You know, I think we maybe ought to talk a little bit later on, if we got time, about a float plan. That those are fine for that. But you could be sitting a half a mile away from me and be in distress and use a cell phone, and the only person that knows about that is the other person that you're talking to. Because if I got a cell phone, unless you're dialing me, I don't know about. That's one thing nice about the VHF radios. There is a channel 16, which is the distress and hailing channel. So all you do is get on channel 16 and you say, Mayday, 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 and someone's got to come back to you and try to find out your position and what trouble you're in or what problems you're having.
Does the Coast Guard have direction finding capabilities?
They do, but the problem with Maydays, usually when that happens, a boat on fire, for instance, you know. And we've had this case where a boat was on fire. I was about 2 miles above the El Jubin Bridge. The boat was on fire just below the El Jubin Bridge. By the time we got down there, the boat had burned to the waterline and sank. So it does not give the Coast Guard that much time to get a position on it.
Okay. But this one will.
Yes, that would give you the position. That keeps sending a beacon out until, you know, it is shut off.
What actually, talk about your patrol area. How far up the Myakka do you go? And
Well, in the wintertime, we don't get very far up because, as you well know, we don't have that much water. We go as far as up to Snook Haven, which is up where 75 crosses the Myakka River, and then down to Marker 8, which is at the end of Hog Island, and that is where the Myakka River officially ends and becomes Charlotte Harbor. Now, we do have the area on the west side of the harbor along Cape Hayes as part of our area for search and rescue. So if the Coast Guard calls us out, we go clear down to Boca Grande. We've been down to Captiva Island. It just depends on where they send us. And there are other units in the area that usually in those large expanses join us in a search.
you have sister units on, you know, either side. Is there one in
Yes,
Port Charlotte?
there's one in Port Charlotte. And then we get into Division 8, Inglewood and Rotunda. So they cover pretty much the intercoastal in that area, and the one out of Port Charlotte and Northport pretty well cover the Myakka River and Charlotte Harbor.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And we'll be right back for some more information on the Coast Guard and how they help people survive.
There's a rumor that small-town America has all but disappeared.
Life is great, Northport.
Northport is the last Mohican. This is the place. This is going to be the last undeveloped region. The city government itself is so pro-growth, and it's just like everything is in the right place at the right time for Northport. They're very open-minded, they're very honest, and they're very fair.
Disappeared? You've just seen evidence to the contrary. We call it Northport.
Welcome back to the final segment of Northport, A View from Here. So far, we've got an awful lot of information and not enough time to get it all in. But Charlie, you're going to tell us about vessel examinations, which I think is a very critical aspect of safe boating.
Yes, sir. Vessel examinations, before we start, I'd like to say this. The auxiliary is not connected with law enforcement whatsoever. We don't enforce it. And that should be known to everyone before we even get into this. And a vessel safety examination is where you call us, you have a boat, and we'll come out and examine that boat to let you know what's the proper equipment to have on it to meet federal and state laws. Once you go by that and we fill a regular form out, check-off list, and we give you a copy of it, and of what you should have on a boat and what's required to be on a boat under the federal law and also state law. Now, we far exceed federal and state law. So therefore, if we fill a form out on you and everything is okay on your vessel, and we give you a sticker and a form, you can rest assured that if anyone stops you out there in law enforcement, you're legal.
And there's no charge for
And
this?
there's absolutely no charge. We do it a lot at the ramp at Marina Park, or you can call us and we'll come to your house and we'll do it. But in any case, if something is wrong, if you don't have, say, for example, a set of flares or the proper PFDs on board, and a PFD is a life jacket, we'll let you know. Well, you need a set of flares, you need a flag, or whatever. And we don't report that. That's between you and you go out and purchase whatever is needed for your boat to make it safe. We'll come back and examine that to make sure that you do have it on your vessel, and we'll give you a sticker.
So it's a courtesy to
It's
the boating public to
most
make sure
definitely.
that they're boating in the safest possible way they
Yes,
can.
sir. And we check things like proper registration on a boat, your numbers. You'll see an awful lot of vessels out there with the wrong numbers on a boat. Some of them will put them on almost to the mid boat and instead of up on the bow and this type of thing. And then we let you know that, hey, this is wrong and you should correct this, or you should have an anchor, you should have so much anchor line, whatever it may be. Flares.
You tell them where the good fishing holes are?
Well, I don't know about that. Most fishermen like to keep that a top secret.
I guess they do. Okay, that's great.
But it's like I say, it's a courtesy that's given by the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and really almost everyone that owns a boat should have a vessel sticker on board.
It makes sense. It makes good sense.
Yes, it does.
Because a lot, as you say, 98% have never gone to school.
That's right.
So many of them are novices. They, in the field.
And we do talk about that when we come out to do your boat. We'll talk about our BS&S class, which is a boating class, and invite them to attend our next class.
When you, George, I'm going to direct this to you. When you see on television where people are lost out in the Gulf or in the rivers or somewhere, they talk about, well, they didn't file a float, what is
plan.
A float plan. What is a float plan?
Well, a float plan is simply, there's a number of, and different ones have different information on it. Basically the saying, has the person who's going out, where they intend to go, a little bit of description of their boat, with name and address, if they're trailering their boat in, where they're going to trailer it to, the license number. So if that person files a float plan, they say they're going out fishing and they're going out at 10 o'clock in the morning, expect to be in at 8 o'clock at night, and they don't show back at 8 o'clock at night, well, about 2 hours later, someone probably at Coast Guard Station is going to get a telephone call saying, we've got a boat overdue, and that's when we get involved going out for search and rescue. But if a person files a float plan, they should stick to it. In other words, if they say they're going down to the Myakka River, down to Charlotte Harbor to fish, and they change their mind at the last minute and go up to Snook Haven, well, if something happens and they don't show up, either, whether it's overdue, maybe they decided the fishing was good or the beer was good and cold,
boaters don't drink.
No, well, we wish they didn't, but this does happen. I'm saying that sometimes they stop by after they come in. So if the trailer's in the parking lot, we know the boat's still out. If they tell us like they're going to be at Marina Park, so the police or we can check that. That's one of the first things we check.
So
it gives us an idea where to start looking for them. If they say they're going south and they go north, we start looking for them south. So it's good to file out with a friend or your wife, and let them know if you change your plans.
Marty, we've heard of the work side of this organization now. We've touched a little bit on the fellowship side.
Right.
Touch on that a little bit more, and how you can get new recruits or make a plea for new recruits. And,
Right. Well, fellowship's an important part of it, Gene. You're right. They call it the glue that holds everything else together. Because as you can tell, there's a lot of training, a lot of education, a lot of skill building, and that isn't done with strangers in your midst. You get to be pretty good friends with these people, and you get to be able to talk pretty straight and yell at each other and still have a lot of fun doing it. We get together for Christmas and 4th of July, and we have other kinds of parties, and we hope to have a picnic later on this year. And it's getting to know people at that particular stage of relationship. So they're your buddies, and you can count on them when you're out there on the water. If you have a desperate situation, you need to know the person that you're working with. It's something better than just an educational level. And frankly, this is what attracted me to this flotilla. When I first joined here, I came to the BS&S class, the boating safety class. And I got to know these characters here, and I said, hey, this is the kind of group that I'd like to join. These are hard work and honest, open people, and they were very attractive to me, so I'm glad I joined.
And it's not just limited to men either.
No, it's not.
Oh, no.
No. In fact, we've had a number of women who have been flotilla commanders, and they're still very active as flotilla staff officers and really hold us together.
Are they better cooks than you all?
Well, no, not actually. Equal opportunity flotilla.
Okay. That's great. That's great. You also have youth programs. I think it's called AIM.
That's right.
Give me a little rundown on that, if you will.
Well, it's the Academy Information System, where we have a career counselor who engages the local high schools, and of course the new one that we're getting in Northport
That's
is
exciting.
Yes, it is, and it's our prime focus. And what we try to do is to educate again and interest people there, students there, in getting into the Coast Guard Academy up in New London, Connecticut. And it was some years ago that when this program was working down here that we did find a candidate, and he was accepted and went up there. And if I'm not mistaken, George was the...
He's the stepson of the new principal.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mr. Kenny?
Yeah, Dr. Kenny, yeah. And they say it was, he came, I believe, from Lemon Bay at that time, because we were working Lemon Bay in Venice at that time, and we were fortunate enough to be his sponsor to send him up to the academy. Okay. And understand from Dr. Kenny, he is, I guess he got his command of a ship.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. We only have a minute to go. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there watching, and some may even be wanting to join an outfit like Flotilla 92. Who do they contact? What's the phone number? And
I guess the best person to contact would be me, and I'm at 941-426-0237. It's my home phone, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that come up and direct people other places, or just give general information about the Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to leave the area code out. Just give us the phone number again, because by now people will have a pencil in hand if they're interested.
426-0237.
426-0237.
Right.
Okay,
And one of the things too, Gene, that our meetings are on the second Tuesday of every month.
Okay.
And it's open to anybody to come in and see us.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us today.